And a howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to SciTrek, your sci-fi, TV, and movie channel.
How'd you do?
How are you, Brit?
I'm alright, man. How you doing?
Good. Doing good. Had a little Star Wars to watch yesterday to catch up on. I'm a happy camper. We got some Andor to talk.
I'm not. Oh my God, I found Andor boring.
Actually, as I'm looking at myself in a mirror, in a camera real quick, the thing I grabbed that I forgot to grab one thing, grabbed one thing. I grabbed my water. I need a hat. Tell me how boring Andor is, because I got you loud enough to hear real quick. I'm grabbing a hat.
Well, I tell you what, before we do that, I will say that I put a poll on my channel, the Tack and Pulse podcast, and look how sunburned I am. Ooh. And I said, basically, is Andor boring? We got 252 votes. 33% of you said, yes, it's boring. 49%, nearly half, said, no, it's not boring at all. And 17% went, yeah, a bit. So, do you want to see some of the comments?
Yeah.
Best Star Wars since Rogue One. I like it. Every show has to be action-packed. It can be low-key and a great show, relaxing to watch. And there's more realistic and believable with the special effects and scenery. Andor isn't as great as The Mandalorian, but it's not a bad show either. Don't confuse slow with boring. It's good. Audiences these days, I suspect, want faster pacing and more action to keep themselves engaged. The first 3 episodes were slow, but no, not necessarily boring. Stay tuned, kids. Apparently only gets better from here on out. Oh, Andor is Star Wars for grown-ups. It's slow but rewarding. I really enjoyed Andor Season 1, perhaps as much as the original trilogy. However, that probably says more about the predilections as anything. Unfortunately, I won't be watching Season 2 because we cancelled Disney Plus quite some time ago because it's total dog poop. Why is it so hard for them to create a solid yet simple good versus evil story? Everything they touch is complicated and most of the time full of the message. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Of the new content is never going to be looked back as a classic. Your YouTubing is boring.
Oh no.
No, that's my nemesis. That's done that. I've had a nemesis for about 4 years. And I used to block him every so often, but then he just creates a new name and comes back. And that's definitely him. It's always hamster related. I don't know what's wrong with the guy.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah.
I feel like I agree with a lot of those comments. It was not. I see. Obviously, the first 3 episodes are slow. They're very slow, like we were talking about right beforehand. Before this, the second and third episode were a lot slower. The second episode, particularly, is very slow. I really liked it, but it's very slow. I don't. It fits fine. I think that episode would fit fine in the first season of Andor just fine. I do think it, and I do find that second episode the weakest episode of Andor overall so far. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't say that to like knock on it either. I think it's better than maybe 98% of the episodes of The Mandalorian. And Mando's a lot more fun, but this feels lived in. Like, I was thinking about it while watching the show, this is Star Wars actually taking itself seriously instead of the actors feeling like, it feels like the actors actually care that they're inside of the world of Star Wars now versus all of Star Wars beforehand, mostly. And, it's one of my favorite things in the world, so I'm not, like, knocking on it by any means. But it's very much so, hey, we're in this world, and we're having fun. We're going along. And it's at the audience's pace, where now we as the audience are living in the pace of the Star Wars world. This is Star Wars taking itself seriously and actually actively like just letting itself be a little real, which is kind of fun. You don't let spacey kind of things feel like that.
We said that quite a lot with the first season, didn't we? This was more realistic.
Mm-hmm. The AK-47s too, which That one's a little dumb, but
yeah, we'll let that slide. But the stuff with the I forget where it was. You'll remember better than me.
The rebels.
Yeah, no, they were doing the city bit, and they were trying to find out what was. Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. We said that a lot of it in the first season was far more realistic, and it seemed to be more sort of centered in the story, but also just that it was more likely to actually happen how it would happen, if that makes sense. The scientist that we saw in Mando, isn't it? Wasn't he? The couple of episodes with that anyway that I'm trying to think about.
It's Colin or something like that. The guy with the glasses, the guy that was tested on Grogu.
Those episodes were a bit more realistic. My issue, I will tell you, so the first episode, the TIE fighter is ridiculously overpowered. It's not. It doesn't fit. I know it's supposed to be like I suppose it's supposed to be an experimental TIE fighter.
Yeah, because he's the test pilot.
Yeah. So, but that's the most powerful thing we've ever seen, and they don't do it again after. You think, why don't they build in that, and why don't they put in that disruptor cannon thing on all their TIE fighters after that? Because it was incredibly powerful. So I did sort of question that a little bit. It was. The other thing is, that scene when he's trying to escape the hangar, that went on.
It was on, but it was pretty funny.
Time. And then I can't fly. And it's like it went on. And then he lands it, and those kids, the other kids, but they have those two camps. And I did like it though how they were then trying to drag the TIE fighter to turn it. I actually thought that was quite clever. I quite like that. But again, it went on. But I actually did. I found myself by the second episode wandering and maybe looking at my phone a little bit. So, and I didn't bother watching the third episode yet, but I will. But
the third episode brings
again.
It brings back that political intrigue. I think you'll enjoy the third one a little bit more again.
Well, I lost what was happening in the second.
Yeah, because the second one is we're watching a small battle of attrition between two groups of people that, spoiler alert, obviously we're talking about afterthoughts here, but at the end of the day, Cassian Andor says, I'm out of here. And they're both sets of people that were just killing each other are now friends again because they kind of have to be. So it ends up being a little bit of a nothing burger overall. Where I really like that episode, and it makes a lot of sense to set the stage up for the rebellion itself. But that episode could have been cut down to your average 20 to 30 minute episode of like a Mando or an Ahsoka or something like that, and still got the exact same message across. And that's why I think it was the weakest episode of Andor. I still think it was a great episode. But it was a little bit of a nothing burger outside of setting the stage for how the rebellion looks from the inside out.
And you need a bit of that. And if you remember the first season of Andor and the first season of Mandalorian, I said exactly the same thing. This is boring.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling with it. But you need to set that stuff up. Like I said, one of the comments we said then, it can't just all be action. It can't. But it still needs to be entertaining and still needs to engage you. And if it doesn't, what's going to happen is you'll turn it off. I will go back to it because I need to, and because I know, to be fair, there will be a payoff. Because I felt exactly the same thing with Andor season 1. Halfway through it, I'm thinking, where the F is this going? And will it get there a little bit quicker, please?
And then you go to a prison for 4 episodes.
Yeah. What are they building? What are they building? And then
give me more Andy Serkis.
Yeah. Oh, I am success. But then by the end of it, you're like, that paid off. I completely see. And you just got to do that. And the thing is, how many times have we watched shows? I actually think Superman's might be a good example of this when it comes out, whereas you just go, why did they rush that? Why have they ran at this at 100 miles an hour when they could have just... So, yeah, you've got to find a balance.
Yeah.
I do feel the first 2 episodes, though, there wasn't enough. And one of my problems with Andor is the actor.
Really?
I find him very, very boring. I don't find him particularly enigmatic, or I just don't think he's got a great... I think he's a very good actor, but I don't think he's got the presence that you need to carry.
Have you seen him in other roles?
And yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking about him in Andor, in Rogue One. That again, he was really good as sort of like, but because he wasn't the lead, he was sort of like really good as that. I know he wasn't in the background by any stretch of the imagination, but he wasn't.
But he's almost that antagonistic force too.
Yeah. I don't know if he's got the charisma to carry a show on his own. And I'm watching him, and even in the first season, again and again, I agree, he's a very good actor, and he's playing the part really, really well. But he's not very charismatic. For me anyway, and this is always opinion, because somebody else will go that he's very charismatic. You know, it's just I just don't. He doesn't lock me in. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't make me think like I can't wait to watch the next bit. And I think Boba Fett suffered a little bit for that as well, to be fair, because again, the Boba Fett guy, he's more charismatic than Andor.
So a whole lot.
But the character stuff came less from him and more from Na Wing,
Ming Na Wen.
Ming Na Wen, who I thought carried the show more than Boba Fett did. And how many times did we say the best 2 episodes of Boba Fett were the 2 episodes where Mandalorian was in, and that he wasn't in, that Boba Fett wasn't in.
The 2 best episodes.
Yeah, I just don't think he's charismatic enough to carry a show like this. And the problem is, if you've then got quite a slow-paced show with quite an actor that maybe doesn't lock you in, it's quite hard to push through to the reward you're going to get, or you hope you're going to get, because we got it in the first season. But it just makes it a bit difficult. Do you know what I mean? It's hard work.
Kind of. I get it. I actually I think he's a phenomenal actor, and I think he has a lot of charisma in a lot of different projects. But like Boba Fett and like Tamara Morrison is just oozing charisma every time he walks around. Like he's doing like the New Zealand haka everywhere he goes. Like that dude he is charisma, you know? And then you get him in the Boba Fett suit, and I guess it might be a direction thing from Lucasfilm in a way as well, where they're trying to tone them down and not have them be too unique or specific in some particular way, where I feel like Diego Luna's Cassian Andor is a little bit better in that sense, because he has to not be super charismatic to be a spy. And we see that charisma whenever he's talking to the spy in episode 1, right before he goes and takes and steals the ship. That's the most charisma we see out of him in the first 3 episodes, until he kind of gets back in contact with Luthen and Skella, whatever Luthen's like second in command is, that little girl that's like very evil, but like good evil. She's your good spider that's webbing everything out, you know?
I'm evil, but good evil.
Very good evil.
But evil.
I still got fangs though. Watch out.
I'm gonna go
howdy traveler.
Evil more often.
I feel like it's kind of almost that spy role, but not spy in like the James Bond suave kind. Like, yeah, this dude's hiding and fighting for his life, and he can't have charisma because charisma brings attention. But obviously, that's not necessarily the best for the show. So that's why they put him in all these different environments and things to have happen. And that lets some of that good acting slide through, instead of just kind of saying, okay,
I've got a point. Right, you're gonna like this, because this is actually, I think, puts this in a nutshell. Star Trek recently did a movie called Section 31, and the main thing people cried about, I cried about, was that there was no Star Trek in it. Right? And the theory, the idiotic theory, was that we would make a film that was entertaining and very, very fast-paced and stuff, but that you don't need to know Star Trek to enjoy it. Right? So it's basically a Star Trek film not for Star Trek fans. The idea being to bring in new Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
Moronic. Andor is very much a series for Star Wars fans. It is. I mean,
really?
I would say Rogue One was a movie for hardcore Star Wars fans, and I still say it's the best of the modern Star Wars movies.
I agree.
I adore it, and particularly the last scene in that movie when Darth Vader rocks up is one of the best. We don't get many modern iconic moments that you go, that was freaking, that's like oh, my hairs and everything. We don't get that a lot anymore because we've seen everything, we've done everything.
Yeah,
but that was properly iconic. Andor, I just feel like it's made for Star Wars, and don't get me wrong, Star Wars is the biggest, most popular sci-fi franchise in the world. So making a show for your hardcore fans is not a bad idea. But I think that's why Star Wars is doing better at the moment and Star Trek isn't, because of a different philosophy there that is basically saying Star Wars fans, I think the movies and stuff have caused problems, and a lot of Star Wars fans have gone, this isn't Star Wars. So then they're sort of going, right, okay, we need to fix this. And we got Andor. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I think, it was about 18 months ago that a bunch of shows got cancelled and they rejigged things and they got things back on track, sort of thing.
When the last Lucasfilm slate that Kathleen Kennedy announced, is that what you're thinking of, or?
No, it's one thing. They cancelled the spin-off that was going to have Katie Sackhoff in.
The Ranger of the New Republic and all the characters
stuff and rejigged everything, didn't they? Mm-hmm. I think that was the moment where they sort of went, right, enough's enough. We've lost our way here a little bit. We need to get back to the hardcore fans. And then we get things like Andor. We get, I think, Ashoka dripped of that a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I actually think that's what they were trying to do with the show that was awful.
Acolyte.
I think I think they thought they were doing that for hardcore fans, but they missed badly. I mean, they missed like a stormtrooper shooting at Anakin, and they were nowhere fucking near. But I think that's what they were trying to do, because they were trying to sort of add to the mystique of the Jedi, and they were trying to sort of Sarah, you know what I mean? They were trying to add to the mythology and stuff, and they just got it horribly, horribly wrong. But you like it more than me. That's me from an outsider hating Star Wars generally. Anyway, so
I pose a giant question now, because what you just said was very interesting. But also, we're both 26, didn't you know?
I'm not 26.
26 is hard.
I once gave somebody my date of birth because it was my password on my thing, and they went, "No, because that would make you." And I went, "Yeah." I'm very young for my age. And childish, as you all well know. So, but go on, pose your interesting, determined question that I'm going to go. Oh, sure.
You said Section 31.
Yeah. Was
made for non-Star Trek fans, your average Joe, to possibly get into Star Trek.
Yeah.
And Andor is made specifically for Star Wars fans. Just, because all the context around it. Obviously, we all know the Death Star is the thing, yada, yada, yada. And
yeah,
this is kind of insane what's going on.
And I would say the
side stuff,
pacing
but-
of it, the way it's produced and everything as well. It's not going to attract. It might attract new Star Wars fans. Don't get me wrong. It won't attract the non-passionate fans. It's going to. So any show has always got its core fans, and then it's like regular viewers, and then it's like transient viewers. And they reckon the hardcore fans is normally about 30%. Then you've normally got about another 20% on top of that's like transient. They will come and go, but they're not like next show sort of thing. And then you've got your regular viewers, which will watch it week in, week out, but aren't, like mental and going to dress up as Boba Fett. And then you've got your transient viewers that come and go a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What Star Trek tried to do was create a show that was like almost for like the transient viewer, that are aware of what Star Trek is, but don't really watch it regularly, sort of thing.
So
Andor is for your hardcore fans, and then your other fans will love it, but it might not attract those transient viewers because it's a bit hard to watch, if that makes sense.
There's a giant butt right here.
Yeah, it's my giant butt. I've got
because I find it interesting you say this, because your average giant, like huge Star Wars fan, your Star Wars kind of your nerd, whatever, typically says the opposite. They say this isn't Star Wars. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. We need
Andor.
They say we want lightsabers. We want the Force. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. This is just generic sci-fi with a Star Wars label on it. I vehemently disagree. I think I'm exactly with what you're saying, where
I think the
series requires you to love Star Wars to really
Andor isn't about the Jedi, which is fair enough, or not much, but it's adding history and depth and everything to the universe, which is something Trekkies are always moaning about. Like hardcore Trekkies were like, do not do another Enterprise show. Do not do another Pig and Prick. Do something. There's a big universe out there. Do something in that universe. Do something that teaches us something a bit more about this franchise we love. And they just don't. So no, I don't want another Jedi show. I don't think we necessarily need another Jedi show. This is something that's adding history to something you already love.
I'm right there with you. And one of the big complaints that people have is there are no aliens. It's just all the human show. There are trillions upon trillions of humans in this galaxy. Does it not make sense where the Empire is a little xenophobic and doesn't like most other species, and they want to make things more human-centric and focused, like Emperor Palpatine is typically doing? Does it not make sense for his show that's like focused around the ISB, his like crazy secret spy agency, and the rebellion, like opposite version of that? Would that not be a little human-focused? And we still see aliens, and it does kind of make me eye roll just a little bit, because the aliens we see are, you see one alien for half a second in the back of the room. Okay, another camera turn, you saw one kind of alien in the back for a second. Okay, sit on him for a second,
With the Empire, do you ever see aliens in the Empire?
Very, very, very rarely. As citizens, I don't think we ever see any aliens in the original trilogy.
In the Empire, in the military, in the whatever.
OG trilogy, I don't think so.
Think of a time you do.
Well, you know what? We have a third brain to pick. Sarah, do you remember any time in the original trilogy that aliens were working for the Empire?
I like your piano.
Oh, yes.
I love the shades. I'm loving the glasses. They're very
There's
cute.
my reading glasses.
They're very cute. Yes. Aliens in the Empire.
Well, I love Andor, by the way. It's like really good. The Hutts? I don't know.
The
Hutts and the bounty hunters.
Criminal organization.
The bounty hunter dude that has the red eyes.
Boss.
Yeah.
The little lizard guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're used by the Empire, but they're not actually like part of the
government
sort of thing.
I don't know. Maybe that's because they kind of want to have it those sort of like Third Reich vibes. Maybe.
Yeah, they do. They're supposed to be xenophobic a little bit, in there. It just feels like a lot of the aliens, though, are like on the outskirts. They're on the, they're on all the planets on the outskirts where the Empire is just.
Right. Maybe they're not seen as equals.
Exactly, yeah. Which is part of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine's
Helpers. Yeah, I don't think Palpatine's real, like, open-minded. We'll just say that.
No. Yeah,
But-
Palpers is a great nickname, though.
Yeah.
I like
Palpy.
It is always so interesting because from prequel to original trilogy, the humans. Oh, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Okay, but that is also a very specific instance.
Oh, yeah. Blue dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, is that the only time?
No, there are a few others because his Grand Admiral Thrawn's like cousin also works for him. I forget what her name is or something like that. And then there are some Avarans. Far and few between. They're very selective and they have to look very human-like, I believe, typically.
Yeah.
But it is interesting
that's
how
that's a modern change as well, though, isn't it? As well, that's or a relatively modern. I mean, in the original movies, you definitely never saw aliens as in the Empire outfits, did you?
No.
Yeah, very little. I guess it's not that modern because Thrawn came out right after the original trilogy, the book series at least, or I guess.
Well, that's in beta canon. Okay.
Yeah. The traitors in the first film. Yeah. But it is interesting, I find, where like the Republic,
the Empire.
Where the Republic before it becomes the Empire is this human-centric, mostly human, outside of like the Senate, run thing, and then we end up getting the Empire, and the Confederacy that they're fighting in the prequel trilogy is now essentially the rebels, and they're the good guys by the end. It's just interesting how that happens, and I love that we get some of that in Andor and see the rebellion. That rebellion in episode 2 felt like it was probably some people that were fighting for the Confederacy at some point. I don't know what planet for what, but they seemed like something that could pop out of Clone Wars or into Rebels, something like that, which is nice. But it is funny how the bad guys are all.
Yeah, we act better.
Yeah,
we've had this conversation before. And Harris got really upset.
Spoilers, yeah, sorry.
Spoilers.
Yeah, there are spoilers. We did mention that at the start.
Yeah,
I guess we did.
It is an
The
afterthought.
banner at the bottom, right?
It is an afterthoughts video though, so the hint is in the title.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're talking about the show.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're in agreement that it's boring as shit. Is that what we agreed? Have to stop listening.
It is not boring. I don't understand why you think it's boring. I mean,
it is slow. That second episode, borderline, was.
But compared, I mean, Star Trek isn't all like super exciting all the time either. So it's like.
Yes, it is. Because the Enterprise is always spinning round.
They have very similar things sometimes. I mean, it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Star Trek. I think Trek is better than Star Wars. I know, hot take, but I don't see. It's not boring.
No, it's. I actually think Andor is. It's saying it's boring isn't fair. It's hard work at times, though. You have to actually sort of like.
You have to know things
and sort of like, keep listening. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone. Oh, there's a squirrel out the window, and I'm like, I get distracted easily watching Andor, and then I have to rewind it, and I'm like, yeah, oh well. How's your hockey team doing? I forgot you use sport again.
Well, I picked Winnipeg, but they did good the first 2 games.
We're 3-1. We're 3-1 up against the Sentinels. So.
Yeah.
Bloody overtime goal. I nearly understood. We had a offside rule, and I nearly understood it. Not quite. Anyway,
yeah.
Star Wars, Andor. Do you think that
responding to Mike asked if Wookiees are so aggressive, why didn't the Empire get them on their side? I had to nerd out for half a second. They sided with the Trandoshans, the people that are the Bosk, like the lizard people, because the lizard people hunted the Wookiees. So they could make more money and have slavers across the galaxy to bring them people as well. And use the Wookiees as slaves, which we saw in Chewbacca and Han Solo.
Didn't they get slaughtered quite badly when the Empire turned as well? Because they were with the others, weren't they? And they kept rebelling. 28 or whatever it was. They Order 69, sir. Are you sure?
Howdy.
They all got slaughtered, didn't they?
It's National Superhero Day. Cool.
Heyo. Well, my superhero was Cassian Andor and all of his charisma.
Yeah.
No,
I did not like the part where he got captured by those dumbasses. I did not enjoy that part. They could have made that so much more interesting.
I did see it. Did you comment on that? What is these dumbasses? That was so funny. Yeah. I didn't like the TIE Fighter either, I have to admit. The massively overpowered TIE Fighter was a problem for me.
I really like the TIE Fighter. That reminded me of an episode of Rebels where Kanan, it reminds me, spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen Rebels real quick, it reminded me of when Kanan Jarrus ends up dying in Rebels and he has to go, they're trying to go infiltrate the whole Imperial kind of unit down there, and he finds a prototype, and Thrawn's second in command is really trying to prove her kind of like, I'm gonna like be Thrawn's second in command. I'm gonna take this dude out and really get the Emperor's kind of good side here. That doesn't happen. They all die. But it's a really good episode, and it felt reminiscent of that to a degree, which was cool. But yeah, the third episode, to jump out of the jovialness and into the controversial aspect of it.
Can I go?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'm going to run out actually because I need to eat. I have a very long day, and I'm starting to get a headache. So
okay.
Tell me what happens in it. I'm going to watch the third episode though, and I will comment on the video whether I hate it or not. Okay.
You want to know what happens right now?
No, because I haven't seen it.
No.
Oh, okay. I was confused for a second.
So shut up. No, I will watch it this evening. But yeah. Thanks so much, and I will see you Sunday.
Yes, sir.
I did tell you I was missing yesterday, didn't I?
No. But we finished off.
Headache.
What's life?
I might have picked my phone up meaning to message and then not.
I did that 3 separate times yesterday, and like at the end of the day, I realized I had 3 drafts, and I just pressed send it all once. I was like, oops.
Oh, I had actually Dave messaged me though that you were messing around with the nominations again, and that I have to correct you. So we may have to have a stern conversation.
We try to keep certain things in, and I know the Thing is the one that he's talking about. Well, Predator and the Thing didn't make it
as well.
Yeah.
We tried to fight for it a little bit, but it was voted off.
We'll see what you've gone with, and I will see. I am open to a conversation with you as long as we agree I'm right. As always.
David's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear? I have the list right here, real quick. If you want me to.
No, go on. Just put it up.
Gotcha.
But can you put it in the chat, and then we need to figure out how to get votes for it, don't we? And we'll
yeah. I'll take a photo and send it in right after this.
Cool.
But yeah, the third episode, at least before you jump in, it'll be more like Bridge of Spies. Like it's not.
Love the film.
Great film. It feels more Bridge of Spies mixed in with a little like. There's some. You remember Baron Zemo dancing in Winter Soldier when it's kind of like. He's just kind of out of his own head, and you kind of get the fun memes and all that. But also, it is a good scene for a little bit. There's a little bit of that with Mon Mothma, but it's better than Winter Soldier, obviously.
Okay.
But that ties into, holy shit, there's a lot going on right now. Processing all of that going on right now. But I think you'll like it. It brings it back a little bit. Before I guess we jump into the controversial question, as you head out, I am going to go off of what you were talking about. Is it fair that we're like talking about Andor being slow? Or is it just we're so used to TV shows and movies and everything nowadays just being so, we have to hit their serotonin and dopamine levels every 30 seconds or that TikTok is going to leave us.
Right. Before I go, I will comment because I can rant on that a little bit, but then I'm going to go.
Okay.
I think you're bang on right, to be honest. I think, and again, let's do a Star Trek comparison. Look at Strange New Worlds. It has to have spinning enterprises and pachoo every 10 seconds, or some sort of joke or something else. The pace has to be really quick, and it's not fun to watch. It's you want the odd episode like that, but you want substance as well. You want to be entertained. Am I not entertained? But also you want a bit of fucking substance. You want a bit of something that's going to make you think as well.
Yeah.
And I think you are bang on right. That Andor feels maybe more like, and this is maybe where I'm going with, I think it's maybe more for hardcore fans. It feels like a TV show that would have been made 15 or 20 years ago. But the pacing and stuff and the way it's put together. Not the special effects and everything, obviously far more beautiful than the, but it does feel like something that would have been. It feels like something that is original Star Wars, and I always say all Star Wars. I think is quite slow paced. I think the original movies were quite slow. As a kid, I couldn't watch the original movies. I found them boring. As an adult, I can appreciate them far more. And that's why I'm thinking that this Andor is actually a proper Star Wars show. Whereas the Star Trek stuff we're getting at the moment is like a comic book or something. It's like children's colouring book version of Star Trek.
Yeah.
But at times, not all the time, at times. That's 100%. And how many times have we said on this channel, every single time, that they keep cancelling TV shows too quickly because the first 2 seasons are often terrible, but they get better. But you need that build up. You need to get to know the characters. You need to get. You need to understand. You need that exposition. You need to. You need those boring episodes so that you understand
the setup and world building we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the world building. And nowadays, Hollywood or California can't be asked with it, because if a show doesn't catch you in the first 5 minutes, people turn off, because we've got the attention span of gnats, because we're all on pigging TikTok instead. And I did it yesterday. I was watching the second episode of Andor, and I started going through TikTok. And I'm sorry.
I haven't thought about this saying in a long time. But one of my friends' dads who passed away too young, but had, just a good amount of wisdom. One of those guys. Hiking dude, guitar player, bass player, crazy dude, good dude. He would always make fun of us and say, every time we did anything stupid, he'd look over at us and say, Harris, Jacob, whoever you are, whatever kid's in front of me right now, you've got the common sense and the attention span God promised a cucumber. And we'll just turn around and keep going what we would do. And I'm pretty sure we're all at that level at this point,
Yeah.
That's just,
we're just so easily distracted, aren't we? It's just like everything's got to be now. But
we've all become.
Change that.
Yeah, that's the freaking question. This last week, just like applying for houses and stuff, the house that hopefully we go on has this really nice bookshelf, and ended up talking to the leasing agent for 15-20 minutes about reading, because she's got 4 kids as a single mom. Is like, how do I get my kids to read? And I was like, I don't know. But like, also, it's not like people are coming out with new series and things. But how do you get people excited enough to sit down and delve into something new and not say, hey, there's all this giant IP that I could go learn and just sit back and not have to really
That's the problem,
think about, And I guess Andor is losing some of the hardcore fans and some of like just the regular people, because it is a little bit. It makes you think. It makes you question things. And I'd rather that from a show than, like you were saying, with how Star Trek's going down. It's coloring book version of what it was. Where hell, I'd rather Star Wars take itself a little bit more serious. I understand it was made for 12-year-old boys. 50 years ago, how old are those 12-year-old boys now? Let's make something.
Watch the news. The news is exactly the same. It's not in-depth reporting anymore. It's not explaining a situation from different perspectives. It's sound bites.
Yeah.
It's what can we put in a meme? What can we do? And that's the world we live in now. Kids and adults to a lesser degree, but just as much really in some ways. We get our news from TikTok and and things like this in 30 seconds, and then people say, well, and they form an entire opinion based on something that you're only scratching the surface on. that has bled into our entertainment, and I don't know how to fix it, mate. But getting people to watch something that's new is the biggest problem, because people don't, and then companies, they don't make money. So what they do instead is they remake something that has been done before, and they're not brave enough to try something. So if you see a new show and it does well, you just wait for a show that is remarkably similar to it to be made within 6 months. And films do the same thing. How many knockoffs of The Matrix were there straight after The Matrix did well?
Yeah.
Loads. Equilibrium was my favorite with Christian Bale, but loads. All of a sudden, all the bad guys had long leather coats and things. It's the way of the world, though. It's the way Hollywood is, because you can be brave, but you can't lose money, and that's the problem.
I think Andor poses just a little. It's both good and bad, and also kind of indifferent all at once, in the sense of it's not. It's good to get some new people in there, because they're obviously going for like that critic rating. They're going for like the best quality show possible. They're also sprinkling in, and not just sprinkling, I guess it's pretty heavy-handed what's actually going on in the Star Wars isms, I guess, like you're saying. If you're paying attention to Andor, it's a very Star Wars show. If you're just kind of having it on, I see why you could kind of think it's just sci-fi with a Star Wars label on it. If you're paying attention,
I don't agree with that.
It is a Star Wars show. I think it's a Star Wars show at heart, but it's not getting a whole bunch of views. And all the people that are like, "Oh my God, the controversial things that are happening are like keeping it from getting views." Like Lucasfilm, you're not listening to people. What's going on? I don't think that's the case, because everybody that really is watching Andor tends to like it, or at least has good things to say about it.
Yeah.
Do you think some of that viewership number loss is just Disney Plus itself losing subscribers at this point? I don't think enough
people. I
people
don't know if they're losing subscribers. I think people are keeping Disney Plus on for their kids more. Daredevil is one of the best things Disney have done in years. Daredevil Reborn was excellent. It was just as good as the Netflix Daredevil series for me.
Yeah.
It was excellent. And it didn't get the views that it deserved to get. And
Agatha all along
similar.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Agatha all along beat it.
Which is just mental. It just to show that. I mean, again, comments on SciTrek, on Taco and Pulse. How often do we get Disney, everything Disney do is crap, everything Disney do is rubbish, everything Disney do. It's not true. Everything they do is woke. It's not. But the stuff they've done that is bad is tainting everything else.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm gonna go eat. I'm having tacos.
Right.
It's Taco Monday.
It is Taco
Monday.
Well,
speaking of Star Wars, real quick, before you head out, I am very excited today. I'm just letting you know. This will be the very last thing. I'm just letting you know. I am going to go see Revenge of the Sith in 4DX later today for the re-release. I'm so excited. So excited.
Very good.
Sounds cool.
I didn't watch Thingy in the end. I watched Accountant 2. But I'm going to go and watch... well, I'm watching... Actually, I'm watching... what is it? Jordan B. Thingy.
Sinners. Michael B. Jordan.
I'm going to watch Sinners tomorrow. And I'm watching the new Marvel movie.
Thunderbolts.
I've got a headache. I'm forgetting it. Thunderbolts, yeah. Thank you. Thunderbolts. I'm watching Thunderbolts on Saturday. So, but I'm very excited by it. If that is shit, I'm going to be so disappointed because it looks so good.
It's gotten really good ratings too.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it's the film it wants, because the last Captain America film is terrible. So.
And Fantastic Four, every time I see more about it, I get less excited, sadly.
Yep. I mean, I think it looks stupid. But sometimes the stupid films come out great. I genuinely thought Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be a massive flop because I thought it looked stupid. And it looked weird, which is what I'm trying to say to you about Superman. It looks
so intrigued.
So it might be amazing. And the bits I've seen of it are maybe a representation of what we're going to get.
I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah. Anyway,
well,
I'm gonna go eat.
All right,
eat some food.
go
Don't
eat.
you ask another fucking question. I will knock you out.
I've got 3 really good ones. Are you ready? Okay.
I like how you went with 3. Guys, it's been amazing. I'm going to go eat.
All right.
Bye all. I'll see you Sunday.
All right. Love you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Do well.
Bye,
Say
Sarah. Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye, Sarah.
You have seen episode 3, though, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Before we jump into the controversial aspect, B-Sod was typing in a whole bunch. I just want to catch up real quick. It's not the action that's the best part, David says. The best part is seeing Mon Mothma coping with all that's going on.
Yeah, no, I like that, of her kind of facing the reality of what it is to really be part of the rebellion or whatever, that it's not going to be pretty. Ugly things have to happen, you know.
And she's losing her family over it.
Mm-hmm.
She has to. I mean, or the rest of the galaxy is going to be in the same situation she's in with her family right now in a much worse way. It's heartbreaking, but it's necessary, and we all know it is too. And it's just it's hard to watch, but it's good to watch too.
And I need to cosplay her.
Yes. Whenever you mentioned that, yesterday, I was like, you should totally cosplay like the original Mon Mothma. Cosplay either one, because this one has got some cool freaking costumes too. Like that'd be fun to like. If I could wear dresses, I'd wear something like that around, because that was just kind of cool and fun looking. But you're not gonna see me in that anytime soon. I'll go as Jabba the Hutt. But yeah, no, that 3rd episode was really good. Did you kind of see what I was trying to go with the Baron Zemo?
I was trying to remember that scene exactly. I've seen the movie, but I'm like,
well, in the TV show Falcon Winter Soldier, whenever they bring them to, is it Prague or somewhere in Europe, and there's a bunch of dancing anyway. It just reminded me a lot of that scene. But real quick, I did see this, and this is what I was going to try to go back and find real quick. B-Sod was saying, are any of you interested in tabletop RPGs set in a sci-fi setting? Would any of you be interested in doing a game with subs? Yeah, that would be something that would be kind of fun. We've kind of talked about that in the past a little bit as well. Greg, our friendly ghoul, of course, from the Radical Wasteland podcast, and a lot of other things, debates and strikes and just yada yada. He's a professional dungeon master, so we've talked about doing some stuff like that, and him actually making our own like tabletop D&D version of like a SciTrek version. It just we haven't like sat down to figure out the logistics of that just yet, but it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, Mon Mothma breaking down while raving made my heart swoon. But also, doing that with subscribers, that'd be like a really good Patreon or a membership thing, honestly.
I have to learn how to play. It sounds like fun, but I don't know how to play.
Greg will have our backs. Because I had a friend try to explain D&D to me at a bar like a month or 2 ago. He just came from like his old D&D session they always do, and just met a couple buddies at the bar, and we sat down in a booth. He was like, okay, both of y'all are filling this out. This is how you do it. And I was like, okay. He's like, roll dice here, pick this. And I'm like, I'm too indecisive at the end of the night. Like, you should have told me this in the morning. Like, give it to me at 10 a.m. and I'll be good. Right now,
right.
Find a margarita, you know?
You're not like clear-headed.
No. Yeah, in the middle of the night, I was like, not middle of the night, but like 9 p.m. I'm like, all right, I don't know, right now. But it does seem like an absolute blast, yeah. But back to Andor, and to get to the closest anybody gets naked to in a scene here. Bix, I guess contextually we should technically be fine to say it, but we'll say grape just to make YouTube a little bit happier. That did not happen. everyone was saying beforehand, "Oh, this is going to happen.
Right.
This is going to happen. It's going to ruin Star Wars. You can't
Right.
have that in here."
She kicked the guy's butt.
From a female perspective, before I open my mouth and say anything,
Mm-hmm.
what did you think about that scene?
It felt like it fit that world. You know what I mean? Of like the Empire and just, I don't know. It just, sorry, my brain is like not wanting to focus today.
No, you're good. Literally, this is a topic that
It's like the
perfect.
Empire, just the kind of organization that the Empire is, would have people like that guy in it.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it just felt like this is something that goes on all the time in the Empire. That disadvantaged people are being taken advantage of. And they even hit on it, with the whole thing of they want to basically kind of undermine that planet that has those cool silk spiders or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to undermine the planet for the minerals or whatever they have. It's just it fits within the Empire that there would be scumbags working for the Empire that would be doing that kind of thing. It made sense to me. Now it's like a little bit out there when you think, oh, Star Wars is supposed to be for kids, but Andor is adult Star Wars. That's why I didn't like the whole thing with all the dumbasses, because it felt like that was for kids. And it's like, Andor's meant to be adult Star Wars.
Yeah.
So,
that episode 2, it obviously slogged on, but
mhm.
and I get the battle of attrition, but like
Mhm.
Jay and I were saying at the very beginning, is like it might be an hour long because it's Andor and they might put all this extra production and stuff into it, and it was a good story. But that's 20 minutes. That's 30 minutes. You can cut that whole episode in half and still get the same point across and have that world building and lore there too.
Right.
But with it, Star Wars being for kids, but also having adult things. Since day one, we've been watching people get hands and heads cut off. In A New Hope, we see Jabba the Hutt kick a sex slave into a dungeon to get eaten by a giant beast because she said no to him for half a second.
Right.
I don't necessarily find this all that different. And especially because they didn't actually show us.
Right. It didn't actually, it was like attempted. It didn't actually, and, she fought back. She didn't, she was able to defend herself.
I was going to ask, because have you seen Star Wars Rebels? I forget.
Yes, but it's been a while.
Right.
Yeah, I have seen it.
But kind of same thing with obviously the Twilight that gets pushed into the cage with the Rancor in A New Hope is the example I just gave. We have Slave Leia, and we know what she's wearing around. We know the reason she's there. She's not there to do the dishes. Also, Hera, for the sake of a mission, allows herself to be sold into slavery in the middle of Rebels, and not just slavery, sex slavery. Like for as Morgan, I think was the character's name, and of course nothing like truly happens. But that's when Thrawn figures out that, oh, wait a second, you're part of this rebel ghost crew. That is a cat butt. Let me move that. But yeah, it's no different than any of that stuff. It just now it's handled with reverence instead of being put offhand. And as a kid, I never knew that. That's what that was. It's 100% obvious in Andor.
Yeah.
Good. That kind of stuff shouldn't be just shrugged under the rug. I know it was the 70s or 80s, but you should take it. It's not just, oh, my friend just was in sex slavery for a few months and now we got her out. Now everything's good. No. Like, I get that it's for 12-year-old boys, but guess what? They should learn about what the right thing to do and the right way to treat people as well. It's just
and she already was like PTSDing about that torture, that psychological torture or whatever that she went through too. She was still like recovering from that, and then this happens. It's like no wonder she went nuts on the guy.
I'm glad you mentioned fighting back, because the only agency we really get to see from Leia is choking Jabba out, and that's after a little bit. It takes a second, and it's not even just a second. She has to make sure everything is in place. She's like, okay, Lando's over there, Luke's back. I can do what I need to now.
Yep.
Who knows what happened before then? We don't want to use our imagination there, because that's a nasty slug guy. So shoot, like hell. I mean, just to bring a little levity to it. But I do like how you specified her fighting back. I was like, this is agency. This is agency that has kind of been needed. And I'm just not interested in this in a non-Star Wars show. It's so Star Wars. Watch the first half of this again. Jay and I talk about that for a little bit, and you'll see us talking about it.
Right. I kind of agree with what you were saying earlier. A lot of people are just kind of like, oh, this isn't Star Wars, but it's like, it is though. I mean, it's about how Mon Mothma like becomes who she is, and I think that's very...
How we're able to destroy the Death Star in Episode 1. Like, obviously, that's just a question that didn't ever have to be answered. But now that we've got this in-depth version of an answer, it's amazing.
How all the background intrigue that had to take place before the rebellion really got rolling.
Yeah. It's, I love it. It's one of my favorite things ever. And I get the lack of aliens and stuff like that again. But once again, like, there's trillions upon trillions upon trillions of humans. The Empire is very xenophobic. This is a very empirical focused show. We're not going to see them often. Like, we literally spent 10 minutes trying to think about all the times the Empire had aliens working for them in the prequels and original trilogy. And we came up with Thrawn, and they hired bounty hunters. And they had some Umbarans. But it's interesting. But yeah, just real quick, Justin, you would have died in the second episode, because it's a good episode. But that's also like, it's a battle of attrition, and it should have been cut in half. Anyway,
they could have done that just way more interesting. Like he showed up and the pilot turns out to be an Imperial agent or something, or whatever. I mean, they just could have made it so much more interesting. Anyway, but I get they were trying to show that, okay, the rebellion isn't like a unified front yet. I get that's what they were trying to do. Which just
pisses you off at the same time. You're like, why are you shooting at each other? Like, but it's reminiscent of, I'm glad that we got, I guess we didn't get to see Saw Gerrera in the episode, but in the little last season on Andor, before that, they show you the Saw episode from last season to kind of pinpoint, hey, we had to let Krieger die to make sure the Empire didn't know that we knew that they were doing things. Like, they could not be aware that we are aware of their activities, So we had to let Anton Krieger die. And this was the smaller version of that, with Cassian having to make that decision himself and by himself. And that alone, I thought, was a really good plot device and story device. But like we all been saying, that episode, it's a slow one. It should have been cut in half, because just pulling it out like that leans people into saying, you don't want people calling your show boring and stuff. And it's not. But if you're just going to drag one little thing out like that, you're going to say some stuff. I'm just trying to catch up to some of these comments. Yeah, well, I guess just since you came in a little bit after Jay and I just started going, just what are your general thoughts on the first 3 episodes overall?
I think it was really good, intriguing. I mean, it's not like a I mean, there was some good, like, pew, when he was stealing the TIE Avenger, I guess it's called, right?
Yeah, that was fun.
How he like wasn't really able to fly it very well. It kind of screwed that up a little bit. But he did get away and stuff. But I thought that was a pretty good, like, action-y kind of thing. And, like flying through that canyon and stuff to get away and everything, I thought was pretty good. I think overall it's definitely like I think Andor is a slow burn kind of show. It's showing you sort of the political intrigue and I guess spycraft, maybe you would call it, of what it is to start a rebellion and stay under the radar and get the resources that you need and try to, the work you have to put in to unify people and and hey, you might have to kill a dude once in a while to keep things under wraps, which isn't like great, but I mean, the Empire is killing a lot more people, so
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of the episode 2 problem is episode 1 of Andor, season 2, of course, has a few moments of levity. Like there are a few moments that are chuckle worthy. They're not laugh out loud kind of moments necessarily, but they are definitely funny and they're there for chuckles. Yeah. They're like, and when he's trying to get out of the whole hangar. And like Jay said, it does take a little bit, but they lean into the comedy by taking it on a little bit. And I did appreciate that coming from Andor, and it's where it does take itself seriously. There are times in season 1 where it might take itself a little bit too seriously sometimes. So it felt nice to have that little bit of levity. And then that next episode was like everybody taking themselves way too seriously, and they're like shooting at each other from 50 yards across the thing. And I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
We kind of raised a little bit of joy just to suck it all out again real quick. And the third episode's like wedding. Here we are. Things are happening. This is fun again. Stressful as all can be for Mon Mothma over here. But everybody else tends to be enjoying themselves outside of Tay. That's not going to go well for that guy.
No. Yeah, he's like, I mean, they didn't show it, but clearly, like, that one chick that was driving, the driver. Yeah, like, it was like, okay, she's basically an assassin, so we know what's going to happen there. And like how she's her niece, whatever, that works with her.
That's her sister, I believe. Vel is her sister.
Oh, sister. Okay, whatever it is. Yeah.
Her cousin.
That look they give each other, like, I know what you're gonna do. I can't do anything about it. I don't agree with this, but that's your thing.
There's so much just in that look. It's like, I haven't seen you in how long? You haven't been communicating or returning my calls. And also, really? Right now? You're gonna do that? Like, it's just all at once. I might have a slight crush on Mon, says B.
Her husband is an idiot.
Parent.
He has no idea.
He has
no idea what she's doing. Like, none. I mean, he's just like, he's thinking that, she's hooking up with that guy, and that's totally not what's happening at all.
I'm very intrigued to see after he bites the bullet, if Perrin, Mon Mothma's husband, thinks that she did it. I think that might bring a little bit of because there's obviously some friction between both of them. Her husband's the biggest tool. He is. But I don't even like saying it, but can you blame him? She's completely shut him out.
Right.
He's essentially not married to her. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, she doesn't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
It tells you how much she actually trusts him, though. And he knows that. As a spouse, I would assume that you could feel that lack of trust from your spouse,
yeah. Well, I mean, they got married when they were 15 or something.
Yeah, they were the last people to have the ceremony
or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, so they've worked out what the relationship is. I mean, obviously they had enough of a relationship to have a daughter.
Yeah,
but they kind of like, she does her thing, he does his thing. She gets a little pissed at him that he, what was it, like, I think it was season 1, she got pissed off at him because he was gambling and philandering or whatever, and he was kind of not being discreet about it, and she got pissed off at him.
He's like, well, you don't spend time with me, what am I supposed to do?
Right, exactly. So,
and now we've seen her spiral since then. Which, with the amount of things going on, I can't blame her necessarily either. But yeah, it's just such a the family dynamic. Andor is still totally a family show in that sense. It's just a family show from an adult perspective. And their poor daughter is straight up brainwashed. I think.
Yeah, she's buying into the traditions, and like she wants to get married at 15 because that's like the thing you're supposed to do. And yeah,
I don't think. My guesstimation, I don't think Perrin and the daughter, Lita, make it to the end of the series. I think they have to go at some point, and I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be Luthen that does it, and it's going to be that gray area of what really is good and bad, and what is for the betterment of the galaxy. Which that'll be dark. That'll be some dark Star Wars there, but
yeah, but it's the reality of it. It's just,
it's a lot less dark than Palpatine grooming a kid for 15 years to become his little puppet. It's I could easily see their daughter turn her mother in, or try to.
Right,
and then it's a new theory. It's not going to be Luthen. It's going to be Skea or Skella or whatever Luthen's second in command is. That very calculated like secretary almost,
Yeah, his assistant or whatever. Yeah.
Because she is calculated in the definition of cold. Wouldn't be surprised if Perrin dies protecting Mon. Lita possibly gets protection from her father-in-law. That would be nice if we could find a way for that to happen. I guess I'm
right.
Andor leaned
into. She's going to go live with that family now, right? That she married their son. She's going to go live with them, I think. So
maybe.
Or do they live on their own? I don't know. Or just it's that thing of like, I suppose maybe just the status of family that they are. They just kind of do the extended family thing. They live in their compound or whatever.
Yeah, what do 15-year-old marriages look like in the galaxy? I say go darker. That's where we would all think Andor would go, but it is Star Wars at the end of the day, so maybe they will bring that little bit of levity back in there. Or if they do go dark, they're going to do it for inspiration, because obviously the ending of season 1 of Andor, with Bix being tortured the way she is, with is it Mava or Marva? Marva was Cassian's mom. With her passing, that was dark, but damn, did it inspire a planet.
Right, with that message she leaves at her funeral. That hologram. That was good. Yeah.
Fight the Empire. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, we didn't even get on. I love that Mira and Mama's Boy are a couple. I love, and how that dinner with his mom was great, and the way she just like told his mom like, this is the way it's gonna be, this is gonna stop. I love that.
Well, I think David asked the question earlier, because I think he put in what does that dinner scene pertain to, like why does it matter, something like that. I think it's kind of similar to the rebellion, the rebels and Cassian on the little planet there real quick. But obviously with the two separate people and the mom, it was very much where the rebels in between the two places shooting at each other and all that is showing you how the rebellion is working at hand. That shows you what these Imperial officers are doing at hand. They might let you kind of walk on them for a second, and then they're going to put you in their place. And if you don't listen to them, we've seen it happen before. You're dead.
Right.
It went from Mama was in control to no, here comes Deidre. I think Deidre, right? Deidre, yeah. That's it. Cyril reminds me of Cyril from Archer, LOL. Oh,
yeah, he's so like just but I love them as a couple for whatever reason. I love that they made them a couple. I just love it. And it's kind of a cool glimpse of like, okay, you're high, you're a high ranking whatever in the Empire, but this is what your personal life is,
It kind of in a weird sense made me think of House of Cards a little bit. Kind of that Frank Underwood and God, what was Robin Wright's character's name? Anyway, it kind of felt like the way they, especially the scenes where they were just sitting there or walking around the house doing their own little thing, and then they'd kind of hang out with each other and not say a word and just kind of be standing there. But it was comfortable silence. Obviously, it wouldn't necessarily be comfortable silence for any of us, but you could tell they were comfortable in their silence nonetheless. Where they're both very individualistic people with goal-oriented minds.
Yeah.
But they were still there for each other. And they were like, oh, shit, we have to deal with this together, too. Which was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, just the thing of like, you could, anyway, I just loved how she just put his mom in her place. And I loved that scene. It was great. It was probably one of the best scenes in so far.
Agreed. Acting wise, 1,000%. Story wise, I see why people are like, why was that in there? Huh? But also, first 3 episodes, we'll just wait.
Yep.
Tony Gilroy doesn't put things in something for the sake of it. He writes things in there for purposeful reasons. Don't you think they were to humanize them because they're cold? No. That, if anything, that just proved how cold they were.
Yeah.
That literally, hey, mama, F you, you're listening to me now. I let you play your little game. There is no game now. You're listening to me. I'm in charge. Your son's mine. You're now mine too.
Yep.
And that wasn't humanizing.
That's kind of the Empire's attitude also.
yeah. Which I think she is the epitome of the Empire. Her and her boss, who I don't remember his name, but he's the guy that plays Qyburn in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's so good at everything, and he is just so evil. But him and her having that one scene where he's like, hey, this feels like a demotion. But you're going to get way further doing this real quick. Next time, find Luthen or find Axis, whoever, then bring him forward. This is your opportunity to do some damage. They see that you can do some damage. Prove it. And it was fun seeing that. That was really, really, really good. Acting-wise scene. Yeah, keep in mind, the Empire does not do empathy.
No.
You don't think Cyril's cold? I kind of like her. Cyril is not cold. Cyril wants to be cold. He has the deep desire to be cold and is trying to be. Anyone
I
who see
think
the
that's why
he
likes Mira so much, because she's kind of like the ideal he's trying to be, in a way. She's like the perfect Imperial officer. That's what he's trying too hard to be that. So,
that it's almost priest-like in the way he tends to his uniform in the mirror too. The way he fixes his collar and all that. Obviously, the collar just looks almost priest-like, just like that or whatever. But the attention to detail, that nitpicking on himself that you can see him doing just for a moment before he's like, okay, I'm good, is great. And you think they're about to go walk off to work because he just had that scene telling that one new employee, like, hey, you might feel like nothing, but if a couple months and a lot of hard work, you can literally track down this and do whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
They're not going to work. Mama comes in the door right next, and we have that dinner scene. But I like the two of them. I don't know where Cyril's going to go.
Right. Yeah, is she gonna, is she like happy with him right now, but is she gonna always be happy with that? Or it'd be interesting if Cyril or her makes a turn kind of against the Empire. I don't think that'll happen, but it'd be interesting.
I could see either one of them doing it. But I it's gonna take a lot to get there. It's either gonna be Cyril's mom turning him against the Empire, essentially, with her trying to be too pro-Empire, I had to guess, or if I have to guess, or Deidre is going to be talked to by Krennic or the guy that played Qyburn a little bit too much, and she's going to realize this is too cold. Like, I get warfare is cold, but this is too cold. Oh, I forgot about that till you said it. The end of episode.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was sad, but it kind of made sense too, because
It
what were
did.
they going to do with that kid? I mean, they could have just had him. Because was he kind of with that other chick they were staying with?
No. That's
Kind of playing
Cassian.
with-
Her and
No,
Cassian, basically.
no, Brasso and the other older woman that had like an Irish accent or whatever. or
Oh no,
Scottish
I don't think
accent.
so. I think
Oh, okay.
her husband was the skinny guy that ratted him out.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But Wilhelm or whatever the younger guy's name is, he was with the daughter, Bila or whatever.
Right.
I think her name was.
Mhm.
They all die. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, most do. Yep. But yeah, no, I don't know exactly where they could have taken him without just making him end up being like your brute, you know?
Mhm.
It would have been cool to see him have at least another little fight or something, but poor buddy. David just said, I just thought the dinner party was a waste of time. That could have been better moving the story on.
Hmm.
We're still in the setup stage.
Yeah.
It did feel like it kind of halted the episode a little bit, but the payoff from the scene at the end
Yeah.
felt worth it, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from.
Right.
I think this is where we exhibit that patience.
Mhm.
And as Jay figured out earlier, as we all decided and came to the head, we got to take out the TikTok and put in the patience. We've got this.
Mhm.
Serotonin and dopamine don't need to hit every half minute. We got this.
Mhm.
And that was good because it you waited for a little bit and you're like, this is getting very uncomfortable. I get that we're watching them be uncomfortable, but this is a very uncomfortable scene to watch. And then Deidre dives in and you're like, oh, I'll sit back.
Yeah.
Like,
That was great. And I guess you just hated his, in the first season, the way his mom treated him and stuff. It's like you kind of wanted to have that. You wanted to see her put in her place. And maybe,
Uncle
I think
Harlow.
they're doing more than that, but I think they're kind of paying that off, I guess, too. But
and it was really cool to see Deidre say, stop talking about Uncle Harlow. She essentially said, he's a gangster, and I'm going to put him in jail if you mention his name again. It's like, oh. Uncle who? It's like, what? I didn't say anything.
Like, you always think you're the smartest person in the room, but you just met somebody that's way better at playing the game than you are, lady. So
the person that's either smartest in the room, typically, especially in a TV show, is the one that's talking so much that it's almost like, hey, I'm gonna like do this, or this, or the person that is not saying a single word. And that was Miss Deidre. B-Sod could have fixed Deidre.
Anyway, we have some Farscape to get to here. So
yeah, we probably have to jump on that ASAP, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, David said not for me. It's like that pointless episode of The Last of Us, the one with the two blokes, just unneeded. Interesting. I do agree with The Last of Us thing where that was amazing acting, but I was like, this has what to do with the story? Like, I get that you want to expand on it, but what? What the Dren? We're getting Farscape now? Well,
yes.
B-Sod on Mondays, typically, for our patrons, our Patreon members. If you can't tell, I got my John Crichton going over here. And Moya's on the chest. So we're dressed up and ready for some Farscapetrion. We're about an hour and a half into this thing. We're planning on doing about an hour and a half of Afterthoughts, and then doing our typical Monday morning Farscapetrion. And we just watch 2 episodes of Farscape typically with our patron members. And I believe it's the 13th and 14th episode? Or was that last week? No, it's 15th.
I think you're right. I can pull it. I got my iPad here. So.
I do have Canva because I need to go ahead and put the...
it's 14 and 15.
Cool. Perfect.
Yep.
Well, I say we go ahead and hop out of here and start preparing for that one. Do you have time for 2 episodes a day, or are we just gonna be able to watch one?
I could do 2.
Okay. Let's do that. We'll go ahead and hop out of here. I will set the stream, post it in the Patreon, and we will see anybody there that is coming to watch some Farscape with us shortly.
Yep.
I still can't think of the word that we usually use, but our laundry list for the week is Wednesday. We have our Stargate Outpost, of course, and Friday we have a Radical Wasteland podcast, and of course Sunday, Sci-Fi Sundays.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get an Afterthoughts in on Daredevil. Justin, if you can do like Tuesday or Thursday this week, or if we can get any of the guys down, and y'all would be down, let's talk Daredevil. Because I'm with you, where it's not the best thing ever, but it's also really damn good compared to a lot of recent things. So it'll be just a fun conversation. Anything else you can think of? Oh, yeah. Well, with that said, we're out of here. See y'all soon, and hopefully real soon.
Bye.
Adios.